My name is Emily, and this is Arlana, and welcome to Media Mayhem. Um, it is very self-explanatory. It is mayhem between us talking about media. Um, and honestly, I don't know how much of release this piece, so I'm just gonna kind of act like you don't know. So for those who don't know, Arlena and I kind of just wanted to have a space where we could take the conversations we were already having and like release them into the world. Thus the podcast of it all. And yeah, it's a format that allows us to yap, which we love to do, and also be very chaotic and just kind of let the conversation lead us throughout, because we both really just talk ourselves in circles and also over hills, and then find out that we talked about 17 things we meant to talk about one. So, what better format than this?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We definitely know how to yap, so we might yap for too long and then we'll realize, oh, we messed up. And we don't even know what we're
Yeah,
yapping about and the point will be lost, but it's the medium,
absolutely.
it's the mayhem of it all. So it's gonna be fun. But we
Yeah,
are gonna be talking about Wicked right now, so this is exciting.
yes,
It is Wicked for
yes.
Good that came out
Specifically,
last
mhm.
weekend. So it is the continuation of Wicked that came out last year, and I think that's important to point out. It is not a sequel. It is not like it is a
Mm.
continuation of the story, and I think that's what people do not understand when they go see it. So we will probably be talking. Spoiler warning: if you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back because there'll definitely
Yeah,
be spoilers. But
yeah,
I'm excited.
yeah, absolutely. If there's ever anything we're talking about on here and you're like, oh, I haven't seen it, I don't want spoilers. Don't come back.
Come
Like,
back.
don't
Don't do
watch
that to
this first.
yourself.
We even in a genuine and earnest attempt to not spoil things, like we said, we yap in circles and then we're like, oh shit, we mentioned that thing we didn't say we were going to talk about.
we'll,
Um,
we'll we'll always do a
so
spoiler
yeah,
warning.
so
Like this is spoiler central.
I won't say always, because I will probably accidentally spoil something and be like, oh, spoiler, my bad. So that's going to be my spoiler warning, is
yeah,
after the fact.
yeah.
You're probably going to catch yourself.
Yeah, we'll just probably
I'm
put
not.
like before each episode spoiler warning and then Godspeed.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, because that's the other thing. Depending on, our editing prowess, we already have like two episodes that we recorded, and then we talked too much,
Too
and
much.
also not really at all about the things we initially intended to talk about. Um, and I think we learned pretty quickly, like, yeah, some things it's gonna be like you don't even need the spoiler warning up top because this thing we're talking about came out 20 years ago. Other things will be super fresh, like this.
That is fair
The
because
spoiler warning needed.
what we've learned too is that there is too much media out there between books, TV shows, movies, music, anything under the sun that it is hard for us. One, we have ADHD, and two, we have lives outside of this basically this passion project. So we can't keep up to
Yeah,
date on all of the new stuff. So a lot of this is just going to
yeah,
be what we want to talk about, and if people have suggestions for us to dive into, then we can definitely do that, but we'll see what happens.
yeah. But also with the suggestions, I'm not gonna make any promises because I'm really going on vibes and Adderall. Like,
I love that. Vibes and Adderall will maybe be a merch.
you know, I agree. I agree. I just think that, like, for us, the nature of I guess this is kind of going to end up being a new intro. So let's just run the gambit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, this kind of project and Media Mayhem as like a concept was sort of just born out of like years of friendship and creative yapping. And like, I think the reason why it's like Media Mayhem is because we have so many different types of interests in the media world. Like, we both really love film and TV. We both really love animation and live action. We both really love music. You're super big into musical theater. I enjoy it. I'm like a pack mosquito where you're like, bitch, I'm in the kick line. Like, we have
Yeah, get
different
me on that stage.
types of Yeah, you said I'm hungry for it.
Actually, no, I take that
But
back.
like we
Don't
just
get
had
me on the
very
stage. I'll be in the back pushing the buttons for the lights. I don't want to be on the stage.
okay.
I take everything I said
I
back.
think you're one of the people who like earnestly enjoys being in the like chorus or like the ensemble.
Oh yeah.
Like you love the game. You're not there just for the spotlight. You're like, I'll turn on the spotlight. But then
Have your
let me
moment,
just
queen.
fuck around and
I'll be in the back.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think so. The nature of this is really just like there's so many things we love and there's so many things we like to talk about. And as you said so very correctly, we have so many things. We have an abundance of other things that we do, and like jobs and lives that are demanding of our time. So like this is very much a passion project. So like of course please send requests. We will look at them for sure. But if it's something that we both really, really do not like or have an interest in getting into, I'm not going to tell you we're going to dive into it because it might just be like a footnote.
Don't get me wrong.
Out
We
of
will definitely look. I don't know.
I want you to know it will be seen. It just may not be responded to.
It might not be heard. That's all I'm saying.
That is that is like true for me across the board. If it's a text message, if it's an email, if it's any other social media thing, trust I will eventually look at it. Time is something I don't always do well with, though. So like it might be now, it might be tomorrow, it might be something where in my head I responded. What happens out here?
You do that a lot. You definitely think you respond to something and then you don't.
Arlena, the number of times I'll go into like a chat thread and see a whole message that I just didn't click send. And I'm like, it's been weeks. I said this in my head 4 weeks ago.
Maybe I'm the problem.
It's too many times. Oh, and abundantly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is so funny.
But yes,
Actually.
okay, I'm freshly off of Wicked Forget.
Yes.
I
Hit me
took
with
my
it.
little note. I don't know where to start. I feel like maybe you should start because
Okay.
one, you have the Allison connection.
Yeah, I can kind of
So
explain
this,
that.
I think, yeah, I think I want to hear that because also like for me, I was actually talking about this with the people I went to see it with. Like, it's interesting to see where people are coming into the movies
Hmm.
with from Wicked because
Yeah.
Wicked is the kind of property where like you could have so many different like source texts. You could be someone who really loved the books. You could be someone who loved the theater production. You could be someone who was super into Wizard of Oz and just said, "Oh, this is correlated." Like there's a lot of starting points you can have with this particular property. And for me, like fully sitting through the whole story, I really just saw the movies because I never got the chance to see the theater production. And I wanted to be able to do that before like listening to all of the music. So,
Yeah.
like, I knew some of the music, but like the movies was really my full like foray into this world.
Hmm.
But you have a different story.
Yeah. So, like we kind of said in the beginning, I love theater. I've been doing it since I was a kid. So, really deep into the theater game. But I loved Wicked. I loved Wicked since I was a kid. Um,
Mm.
and I've seen it a lot off Broadway. I've never seen it on Broadway, but honestly, I really don't think that matters. I think seeing a production off Broadway, on Broadway, it's the same show. I think it's still as good as maybe sometimes even better as the Broadway production. So I've seen Wicked off Broadway a handful of times with my mom and then my best friend Allison, who I've been friends with for 23 years. And then back in 2017, she surprised me for my birthday, and we got matching Wicked tattoos for the song "For Good," which is in part two of Wicked. So I've
Mm.
loved the soundtrack. I've listened to the original so many times, like a uncomfortable amount of
Mm.
times. And to be completely honest with everyone, when they announced that they were doing a movie of Wicked, I was
Mm.
really, really nervous because
Fair.
I was really
Fair.
worried they were going to ruin something I love and hold so much like
Yeah.
passion for because my grandmother, who passed away during the COVID pandemic, loved The Wizard of Oz. So this whole universe is very close to me, my family, like everything. But
Mm.
I loved the first and second movie. I think they did a phenomenal job. bringing the stage production to life in a way that is accessible for people, because not everyone can see the stage production. Not anyone can fork over the money to
Yeah.
see it on or off Broadway, because it's expensive. I'm gonna be honest, it's expensive to go see
Yeah.
live theater,
Speak
even
on
though
it.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
But it is hard. But they did it in
Yeah.
such a way
Yeah.
that honored the story, but also added a lot more to it. And I feel like that was amazing. Like, they added so much to it. They added so much to the characters, especially like the flying monkeys got more like characterization, which I thought was really nice. They spoke more about like Alphaba's fight against protecting the animals in the Oz world than they
Yeah.
do on the um, stage side. That kind of gets missed a little bit. Like, if you're not paying attention, if you're not locked in, you're gonna miss that subplot. But it's very much the front and center of the movie. But I love it. And personally, I
Yeah.
think the second act, because that's how the movie's split. It's split between, if you go see
Yeah.
it live, it ends. Intermission is Defying Gravity. That is the end of Act One.
Yeah.
Act Two, personally for me, has the best songs, has the better songs than Act One. But I think Act One is the more popular of the songs, if that makes sense.
I mean, popular, literally. Yeah, I have a I have a few thoughts. I'm just gonna like take my notes. That's something you're gonna see happening. Is if I'm trying to cook and I have one like brain cells are rubbing together, I might need to take some notes.
That's fair.
So I have a few things I want to touch on
Yeah.
because accessibility and adaptations I think I want to dive into, but like also the stage production piece. Um, and there was another thing that's already gone. Um, yeah, so kind of jumping off the bat, totally here and kind of mostly agree with almost all of your points. Obviously, like I can't say I agree with like the emotional connection that's deeply personal, but like I think it's lovely. um, I do think the stage production element is a really interesting component because yeah, it's funny to me how ironically the movie version, which is like objectively probably more budget being put into it, like more money was being kind of thrown into making these productions,
100%.
is actually easier to kind of access on a larger audience scale because that's like the beauty of live theater is it's such a incredible experience where like being in that room, being with that energy, with those particular actors, with that stage production, like it's such a like immersive experience in the sense of like you're in that moment, you know. um and in some ways I think a movie's just always going to be more removed than a stage production because that's like the nature of the beast is that it's live, it's you're in that moment. But it is also really expensive and it's like a privilege to be able to go. It's this beautiful art form, but especially when it's a story that's as big and like made such a cultural impact as Wicked did, it's also very much commodified and it's a pricey thing. So like for me, that's actually why I haven't seen it. I just like I didn't have like the funds or the like justification to see this particular production. And I agree for the most part that like on versus off Broadway is pretty much, I'm sure there are people who would disagree, but I also think it's pretty similar. Unless you're going specifically for a certain like cast, like the original cast or what have you. I think a lot of smaller theaters are able to pull off very impressive production value. Of course, there's going to be some nuances with what you can do on Broadway versus what you can do in, you know, a smaller theater somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, there's certain limitations, but overall, I think the artistic value in an on versus off Broadway production is very similar. So I agree with you on that point, 100%. Um, and I think yeah, like with a story like this, I was very curious because when I initially heard about the movies, I think I kind of was a hater because I low key was just like, why are we doing this? And then I like heard about the cast and I was like, why are we doing this? Like
Yeah.
it just
I was worried.
I
I
was
was worried.
worried and I just expect and I think that like when you bring someone who has so much of their own like singular star power as like an Ariana Grande into this world, it could either go in this way that I think it actually did, where like she put on the performance of a lifetime and ate up that whole role. Like she did a phenomenal job.
She broke my
Um,
heart in that movie.
yeah, she did fantastic work. If she doesn't at least get a nomination at the Oscars,
It's
I
rigged.
don't know what they're doing. But it is. It already is. But every
So
now and then it's
facts.
rigged, and also they have. It's like the Venn diagram between it being rigged and them having the right take. Every now and then there's this convergence where I'm like, yeah, you guys got
You
it.
understood.
We'll see. You understood. But yeah, so like I think anytime you do like it's got a lot of backing, there's obviously interest, there's also big names attached. It could be in the direction this one went, or it can be in the direction of like, what was the reason? You know? So I was very happy to watch the first one. And I really enjoyed it as someone who didn't really like wasn't as familiar with the books or the stage production. I had just like watched Wizard of Oz. I was really fascinated. And I think that like for me, I'd say in the first movie, the standout, of course, was Cynthia Erivo. I mean, she's perfect. And
Brought the house
I was
down.
actually just talking. Yeah, yeah. To this day, like, so we'll talk about my trip to Japan more because like we did karaoke. We ended up doing it twice, but the second time we did it was Lydia and I's last day. Shar had already flown back, so we just like had more time to kill because our flight was later, and our like phone service stopped working. So we were like, okay, we need to generally go in an area where we either have Wi-Fi or like know the area. So we went back to this karaoke place we went to and ended up accidentally doing Defying Gravity twice in a row. So like of our hour time block, 14 minutes of it went to Defying Gravity.
As it should,
and I was like,
respectfully.
I'm not even that mad. It just like we didn't intend it. Um, but that's an aside. What I was saying initially was for me, first movie, Cynthia. She stole it. Second movie for me, really Ariana's performance was
Hmm.
so impressive. It felt very much I think I can really speak on it from like a film perspective because so that's where the accessibility and adaptation comes in for me. I really enjoyed the fact that it felt intentionally taking things from the books that you couldn't do as well in a stage production telling of this story and highlighting it for the movies. And I think that's one of the smartest ways to do adaptations. I mean, we've both studied adaptations in college. Like we know that there's quite a bit of sort of takes you can have on this world of when you have a source text or like something and then you're remaking it in a new time, whatever. Like, do you have something new to say? Do you have an interesting take to be adding or kind of casting in a new light? And for me, I think the animal plot line was really, really smart to centralize in the way that it did because for me, it added a lot to Elphaba's characterization. And even like Fiero and Glinda, I think it made their like their actions and the morality of them more understandable. But also I think it did a really important job of like telling a different kind of allegory. Like it's not just that she's green. They told a much larger story than that. And I think it was just really well executed. And also like when you have the budget for CGI, you can make these things feel bigger and more believable and kind of immerse us into this larger world of Oz in a way that you are limited on a stage side. So
Hmm.
I think like they did a really good job of leaning into the things that are uniquely movie magic and like fleshing out parts of the story while also like honoring the things that came before it. And yeah, I think for me, obviously, standout first one was Cynthia and like everything she put into it. And still for the second one, like she stunned me. Like she was fantastic. But Ariana's performance for me, like, was so like she
Incredible.
stole the show.
Incredible. Um,
Um,
Before you continue, I wanted to touch on something that you said about the additions that they added. So, for those who don't know,
mm,
they did add a few things that are not from the original production, the stage production. So, in part two, Cynthia sings a song. What is it like? There's no place like home. The when she's singing with the animals in the woods.
I was gonna ask
Okay, yeah.
that.
So that is a new original song from the movie
That's a
that
new
was
song.
added. The uh Girl in the Bubble song Ariana sings after the March of the Witch Hunter, that's new. That wasn't in the original. And then
okay.
what I also
Take notes
liked
on
and
that.
I really appreciated, and I think once again added more to her story, the fact that Alphaba had animal um caretakers when she was a child, that was
Hmm.
added to the story. That was not in the original production. So that like
Oh,
Dulce Bear,
cool.
when she came back during that scene when they were all leaving, destroyed me emotionally. I'm like, I'm glad they brought
Oh,
her back,
yeah.
but yeah, that she didn't have like
Yeah.
animal caretakers as a child. But then
Hmm.
again, they added like young Alphaba and young Glinda to the movies. They're not in the stage productions. You don't really see a lot of their
Oh,
childhood
gotcha.
in the stage production, so they added that to the movie, which I think adds a lot more to their characters and like really shows who they are.
Absolutely.
Especially in part one when like you see Alphaba using her magic for the first time, and it's just like mostly out of self defense. Like that's why she did it. Like
Hmm.
she was getting picked on. And then like
Yeah.
when we cut to young Glinda in part two, you just see this girl like longing to be something that she's just not a part of. Like she desperately wants to have magic, but like she just doesn't in the beginning. Um, so those are the some of the additions that they added
Yeah.
that I wanted to like mention.
That is actually super, super helpful because, like, I wish we had a book expert to join in, but we don't, and
I'm
I
gonna
would
read
not
them.
have time
I'm
to like
gonna
look at
get
them.
them, and then maybe in a little bit we'll jump
Circle
back
back.
in. We'll circle back to
Yeah,
Wicked when I
you can
finish reading
circle
them.
back and tell us if the kids are in the books or not. Because for me, that's also why, like, the movies for me, it felt like the second one was a bit more Glinda's movie. Because I think specifically the young version of Elfie and then the young version of Glinda kind of I felt like they were a really clear symbol of like the evolution both girls went through. So like
Mm-hmm.
with Elphaba in the first one, we see her as a young girl and then we see that kind of being brought back when defying gravity is like she's having this moment of such a massive evolution and growing into herself. And with Glinda, I think it gave us so much important context to like why she is the way she is and why she's so like fixated on getting like all of the attention and like having everyone like her. So for me like it felt like the movie was working hard to show the ways that like where Wicked sort of part 1 was about Elphaba becoming this like powerful witch and all these other characters and like the beginning of such an important journey. For me, that's where For Good really leaned into Glinda's version of that same kind of like hero's journey in a sense.
Okay, I forgot an also very important addition that they added, and I think it's beautiful. So once again, spoiler warning, obviously. Uh, when Alphaba and Fiero leave, and it cuts between the two girls singing "For Good" for the last time. Tear worthy, by the way. I was sobbing uncontrollably in the
Yeah.
theater. By the way,
Yeah.
side note: when the book opens for Glinda, because like now she has the ability to do magic, that wasn't in the stage
Mm.
production. The stage production just kind of
Mm.
ends when Fiero and Alphaba leave. That's like the ending of the stage production. So like all of that, it
Wow.
just kind of like it doesn't like I feel like the movie wrapped everything up nicely in a little bow because like okay, the wizard's gone, Madame Morrible got tooketh by the monkeys, which was very funny, and then
Yeah, they
now
yeeted her real quick.
good for her, good for Glinda. Really hated that hoe. Oh wait, this is so funny. So
Yeah.
when Madame Morrible is doing like her little "Here Comes the Hurricane" dance to get the tornado.
The fact that you made it to Here Comes the Hurricane, because the whole time I was like, she's giving ballroom hands. I was like,
Yeah,
she's
she's
fucking voguing out
yeah.
here.
Me and Allison flipped her off in the theater, and everyone behind us started laughing. Yeah, because she's a hoe, and also I appreciate that addition too. So it's
Oh
very
shit.
like
You keep freezing.
yeah, you keep freezing on my end too. Godspeed. We're just trying our best.
Oh.
Um, it is very much like hinted in the movie in the musical that Madame Morrible does the hurricane to kill Nessa, but I'm glad they showed it in this.
Yeah, it was
in the
hella
movie.
explicit.
That's the thing
Yeah.
too. So a lot of it was like, I think they had to be very much. I said this to my mom. I was like, it was very much like a lot of important plots were like holding your hand through it all. Like when the wizard, you find out the wizard is Alphaba's father. Because like throughout the whole movie, you see him drinking from the vial, the green vial, through like all of it in part 2, and then they spell it out for you in the end. But in the musical, it's Madame Morrible that tells the wizard that Alphaba was his daughter, not Glinda. So I like that addition too.
Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. So I have a couple things then.
Yeah.
Because the 2 songs for me added a lot. And I think it's sort of helping me double down on my take that this was really like Glinda's story in many ways.
It very much is in the musical.
I mean, at least particularly.
Like
It is
Act 2 is very much like Glinda's story, and then Act 1 is very much like Alphaba focused. So like that's kind of similar, but like the songs are the songs I think added a lot.
And I think for me, like the songs, so I took a lot of notes on the song "The Girl in the Bubble," and like I'm just gonna run through my notes because there was a few different things with alpha animals that I felt like were really really important, or like specifically now, like releasing this movie now in America.
I said the same
that
thing.
I think a lot of the people who really should be listening to the message are gonna completely miss.
Yeah, like if you realized that the wizard was wrong and you didn't like him and still voted for Trump, you missed the point. You missed the plot on that. Like you very much are wearing blinders through a lot of things. I'll say
it. If you saw them putting the animals in cages
and you were like, "Wow,
and
taking
taking their
wrong.
voices away from them so that they could scapegoat someone for their problems," and you said, "Man, that's fucked up."
That's fucked up.
And then you said that America right now is doing well and doing like good, humane things.
You missed
the point so much that I don't think you should watch it. Like,
yeah,
you don't.
this wasn't for you.
Have access to the good stuff because you're garbage. It's not a political podcast.
Now you know where we align.
Yeah, we might have mayhem, but we do have pretty like that's the thing that I think is also a really important part of our like synergy is like where it really like matters most, we are very much aligned. We might be dipping and bopping and all over the place with a lot of things, but not where it fucking counts.
When we need to lock in, we'll lock in.
And we can. Okay, so the first note I took was 12 tide turns because I didn't know if that meant it's been 12 months. But Madame Morrible right off the bat says, it's been 12 tide turns.
Yeah,
blah,
so
blah,
it's
blah.
like a
year. And then
year.
She says towards the end of that, trust no animal. So it's just, that's the one thing I really don't get. All these little extra isms here and then. I'm like, just say it's been a year. But okay, cool. So it's been a year.
I think it's been a year. It's like the clock tick thing. You know how many times they said like, oh, just give me a clock tick? I'm like, what does that mean?
Just give me a clock tick. And I was like, can't y'all just say minute?
Or a second?
Because a clock tick is a second. Like, I'm really confused. Anyways, I love making your own little language, okay? That piece, I was like, so you do mean months, right? Like, I just wanted to make sure.
It's been a year.
But, like, immediately, thank you, the sort of trust no animals vibe and the way that they're very, very clearly pushing the, like, they are intending to dehumanize these animals, which is, like, obviously been the way, but, like, the Yellow Brick Road for me was giving a lot of, like, build a wall vibes. And like the mistreatment of the animals was so clear. And my next note, because I loved Elphaba's like little saving them and all of that stuff, but my next note was, and I say this as much as I can possibly be respectful to Michelle Yeoh, I think she is a brilliant actress, but she cannot sing, and she knows that.
Can we talk about that? I'm gonna get close to the mic.
She seems to know that more than John did.
She almost said no.
Oh, honey.
She almost said no.
Oh, honey. ... John did not fix the singing issue. I fear.
Okay, pause.
And then my next one was Come On Color Guard. So let's pause and circle
Pause.
back.
Let's circle back to Michelle because I love her as an actress. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I just don't think she was the perfect person for this role.
I think we should talk more about that specifically because,
well,
as an actress, she did a great job with the acting. But this is a character who their voice is so, the singing, it's a musical. So let's start there. It's a musical. So the singing is necessary. But beyond that, she's one of the only other witches with any magical power. And if she had a strong voice and a vocal presence that was genuinely powerful and intimidating, I think it would yield much better storytelling. And what had happened was
well, did you know John is also the director of Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure he loves Michelle.
Yeah,
Yeoh,
so I think that's why.
Let's just make it work.
It didn't work.
The thing though is no, because it especially didn't work when we know the likes of Cheryl Lee Ralph.
She auditioned
and didn't get it.
She auditioned.
Already.
Angela Bassett auditioned, and Hannah, something with a W.
Paddington. I want to say Waddington, but I keep thinking of Paddington, and I don't think that's true because they're both British. I
think one's a bear.
Lovely, and No, I'm very aware that Paddington is a bear. That wasn't my source of confusion. I kept wanting to say Paddington, and with a dub. I know she's okay. I think we should backtrack.
Waddingham.
Paddington's a bear.
Waddingham.
I think. So I wasn't that far off.
It's like Waddingham. Waddingham. That's a wild name.
I absolutely see where my brain went wrong, and I apologize, Hannah. Anyway, all of this was just to say that actresses with powerful voices and powerful stage presences and known stage presences that translate correctly and effectively onto the silver screen auditioned for this and didn't get it. And Yeoh, I think, did brilliant work with the acting. But I think overall that was a misstep on this director's part.
I agree. A lot of people agree too.
I agree she should be in everything, but I just think for me, especially seeing it so clearly written out, that this is probably the most singularly to blame antagonist within the entire story.
Yeah, she's a hoe, respectfully.
They should have. That's a whole bitch right there.
I forgot another addition that was kind of important.
One of my notes was just I said memorable, you fake ass bitch, after she took the Your Wizard Lies into Oz Dies and did her little
Here comes the hurricane.
Yeah, Katrina, for real.
I forgot another addition that they added. So you might talk about it in your notes. So Wonderful with the Wizard, that song. Glinda's not supposed to be in that number. It's only a duet between her and the Elphaba and the Wizard. But Ariana believed that there's no way that Elphaba would have listened and believed the Wizard if Glinda was not there and persuaded her, basically. There's no written world that Elphaba would have trusted the Wizard like that, right away. Glinda had to be there for it to make sense. So that's an addition. Glinda's not in that in the musical.
That's better. I would have never, ever bought into her going to see the Wizard without her.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And perhaps it's because I don't go here, but quite literally that scene was only believable to me
because Glinda wasn't there.
Of Glinda.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I love the new edition.
That was phenomenal work. Also, so much better, in terms of the moments of joy that Elphaba and Glinda get to share in that sequence. Phenomenal.
Adorable.
But yeah, you can't tell me shit that was. I would have never even thought that was an addition because it makes no sense for me to have it be any other way.
Yeah, I agree.
I can understand Elphaba going to the wizard on her own. I
Oh yeah.
cannot understand her believing him on her own.
Mm-hmm.
That no. That was another thing. I think overall my largest critique of the movie is that there were a few things where like I understand they had a limited amount of time and like they had a lot of different pieces to really hone in on, but a couple of the pieces I was like I don't care. If you're trying to have me give a shit about these characters, you're not really doing a great job because I'm only seeing the way that power corrupted them. Like Nessa and Bach, I could not give less of a fuck about
Dude,
Bach's ending.
those two are Delulu. Like, we need to discuss that. Like, they are perfect for each other because of how delusional they are. The fact, no hate for the actress who played Nessa because incredible. She played that character so well, and I've seen a little bit of online hate for her because she played the character so well that we hated Nessa, not the actress. So I'm gonna state that there. Nessa's a hoe. Nessa's a hoe. Like, respectfully, like,
Yeah.
but
I want to get a couple things straight just before you continue. When we talk about a character, we are not disparaging the actor. Unless
actor
the
or voice
actor is
actress.
a piece of shit in
Yeah.
real life,
Mm-hmm.
they are not hold accountable for their character's actions.
Yep.
Even if they are a piece of shit in real life. An actor is their job is to be that character. So when they do it well, that doesn't mean you hate them.
Yeah.
You stupid fuck. That means they did their job well.
They did their
They're
job
talented.
well, and they cashed that check.
Don't hate the person because they played a character who's vile correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally their job.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That's just needs to be out there. But you continue.
But the song she sings of like when Alphaba's singing Bach, saving Bach when he's turning into the Tin Man, that's an addition too. That's not in the musical either. And I really liked that song that she sings. But she's insane. Nessa is like low-key cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like the fact that like
Nessa is her father's daughter.
Yeah, and the fact that like she is so blinded or refuses to see the way that like their father treated Alphaba, like when she brings it up, like you weren't there for him when he died. And Alphaba's like, he never loved me. Like that, like why would I show up? And he was, and Alphaba and like Nessa was like upset by that. I'm like, bitch, where have you been? Like, did you not see?
So there's actually a few. I think my overall biggest frustration with the movie was a lot of the characters, like in the end, they get a comeuppance, but there was a lot of lacking accountability across the board. So I think one thing that's interesting, and I'm glad by the end it's sort of corrected, but like Glinda the Good being this puppet of Morrible and the Wizard's fraud was really interesting to me, and the ways that she's sort of like springing the engagement on Fiyero.
That was wild.
Girl, that was crazy to me. And then him having a very valid reaction, like, huh? And then, like, when she sort of takes him behind their little conversation, my note was, babes, ... He don't love you. It's so clear. And I understand in the book there was a very different version where, like, instead of leaving her on the wedding day, he leaves her after they, like, built a family together, which is still crazy to me. But I felt like the movie did a good job of showing that, like, he's not really in love with her. Like, he's playing a part and he's playing along and, like, it's sort of a social scripting. But, like, I didn't really catch the vibe of, wow, man, Fiyero and Glinda, that's some chemistry.
Well,
that wasn't really the energy I got from
I
the
don't
second.
think it is either. But I also think the movie does a very good job on, and you kind of talked about it before I went on a rampage about Nessa, how easily it is to be blinded by power and people accepting you. And I think that's what's going on with Glinda in the first half of the movie, is she's so blinded by the audience she gets to speak to and like the performance of it all, right? That's like who Glinda is to a core. She loves to perform. She loves to be the center of attention. And she is trying to project that onto Fiyero. I think there's a line in that opening scene where it was like, this is our happy ending. Like, this is our story. We like the end, like a good story to end on. And you're a part of it. So I think she's holding on to that so tightly. And it's why when Fiyero finally chooses Alphaba and leaves, that breaks her. That's the thing that breaks her, and that's why she brings up Nessa um,
Mm.
to
I
lead
think
out.
that's a really interesting. Yes, because also for me, like that's why I was like, he doesn't love you in that sequence when they're sort of having their talk. A lot of that is brought up, but then I think at one point he's like, we need to find her before they do. Like they just
Hmm.
believe any bullshit they hear, and then at one point, I think he says something like I need to encourage them, like they rely on us for this, and he was like, you can't help yourself, can you?
Yeah.
And she was like, is that so bad? And she kind of sort of says that of like, yeah, maybe I can't. And so what? Like I can help these people. I can bring them joy. And it's interesting for me because I think that conversation is a really good like I have okay, we're kind of jumping ahead, but I think that is one of the conversations where I'm like, I don't think Glinda could have known Elfie lived. At least in the like state we find her in this. Cuz she still believes so like she is happy to go along with the farce that the wizard and Madame Marvel have put on because it gives her all the things she wanted. She knows she doesn't actually have magic, but she's okay with faking it if she's able to kind of still inhabit this other role. And I think the sort of sequence of her as a kid really speaks to that and gives us sort of the planting of that seed of like as long as you have their adoration, you'll never need for anything. You'll always be happy. And for me, that was another reason why Ariana's performance was like stunning because I could tell in her eyes when she had this great way of playing Glinda where she's happy, you know, she's showing all these outward signs of it, but her eyes don't have that light in them that they do when she's with Glinda, with when she's with Elphaba.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought that was really great
There's
work on Ariana's part.
so I'm upset because there's a lot of in the first movie where they cut a lot of the scenes, obviously, right? Because like that's just the way
Mm-hmm.
movies go. You got to cut some stuff. But there is a scene with Glinda and Alphaba after they
Cub,
save
right?
what
After the cub, when she's like,
after
"You
the
could have taken
cub.
me."
Yes, but I would like to I that's not the part I want to speak to in in the moment. It's the part where when
Mm.
she's practicing magic and it's not coming to her, and Alphaba says to her, "It's just like, well, you never needed magic because you've always had everything basically handed to you. You have nothing going against you. That's why you don't need magic."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why she's able to get magic at the end is now that she actually is like trying to make a difference. But yeah, I love that.
But
I
also, like she, yeah.
go.
Well, no, you keep going. I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm good. I'm
Well,
so good.
I think for me, part of her getting magic at the end is also the like, she finally experienced real
Hardship.
pain. Like, she actually like genuinely lost something, and I think sort of for good is so meaningful on so many levels. But for me, like, okay, I also, and I cannot believe I'm walking away with this take, but I actually do maybe think that they're more of a sister love than a gay love by the end of it. And I did not think I'd leave with that, but um, I still hold hope for an Elseworlds throuple. Like one day, maybe there's something out
They
there.
just all three.
But in this,
Fuck a love triangle. I'm all for a love triangle. I'm all for it. I understand it's important in some media, but maybe we should all just fuck. Like the takeaway, maybe there should be a threesome.
I, I was that my point? No. Do I stand by it? Yes. Um, but yes, but I do think like have someone who actually mattered be the one she loses, I think is such a necessary part to her getting her
That
magic.
line,
Um,
sorry,
Go on.
that
No,
line
because that
when
line.
she says Alphaba says, I don't know if we're gonna be thinking of the same line, but when she says, Alphaba says to Glinda, "You're
You're the
the
only
old
friend
friend
I've
I
ever had.
had," and Glinda's like, "I've had so many, but the only one that mattered, lost it, lost it."
That I think this is the other reason why like a piece of me is always gonna have like a gay love for them because I just want them to always have scenes together forever. I think those two they are magic. Like
Hmm.
when they were in any scene, and perhaps that's why I cannot fathom a version of this wizard wonderful song where she's not there because that's the only way where it's believable to me. Um, they're so fucking good. Like
Well-
they are. Okay. Anyways, that wasn't even my point, but I did get sidetracked. I want to circle back real quick to Nessa.
Yeah.
She is a bitch. Okay, she is a bitch, and I think she's her, her memorable. I think both personify a specific kind of lacking accountability, um, and it pisses me off because Nessa, angered by Elfie not coming to see her dad when he died, when she's literally ostracized and beloathed throughout Oz, and her dad hated her, like openly loathed her. What the fuck?
Like,
she's so, it's such a selfish take to have.
Like, it's crazy to
Especially
me.
as she's taking his power. Yeah.
It's crazy to me too, because like as the mayor of Munchkinland, you have the power to like make everyone see your daughter like as she is, but instead you were her biggest enemy against her. So therefore, you're the mayor. Everyone's gonna believe like he was her number one hater, like respectfully, and then like the fact that even Alphaba believed she was the reason Nessa was in the wheelchair, basically because of like how her father acted and like forced her mother to do X, Y, and Z so she wouldn't be green. Even though basically she was green because her mother was cheating on him, but to be fair,
it is crazy the like I think one thing I was really impressed by was like I'm sure there are other people who have different takes, but I do not think Elphaba did anything wrong.
no,
I
God
think the
no.
only thing she technically did that was like intentionally harmful was when she was like, Glinda, he doesn't love you. He chose me. Get over it.
Oh,
And
that
Glinda's like,
fight. That
was
fight
that was
next to
hilarious.
Nessa's
That
body
fight was
technically is
vicious.
so funny.
So that's the other thing. Nessa pissed me all the way off, in part because just as like you were saying how her father had all this power to potentially change Elphaba's life story, she took on that power. Like she had so much ability and capacity to change things and to help Elfie, and she didn't. And not only that, she went so far as to like strip and like dehumanize and take the civil rights in the land of Oz, not just from animals, but from Munchkins when Bach decided to try and go be fucking useless. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I'm like, you stupid bitch. Not only are you mad at your sister when you could have changed any of the things that have led her to, like, she is so evidently, everyone is making her the enemy. So you think she's gonna come to the only people she cares about? You think that she, who has, like, went out of her way to try to protect Nessa her whole life, has been told by her shitty father that is the one thing she has worth in, is gonna come and hang out with you?
For like tea.
She's gonna come sit with you, bestie, when you've made it clear you want nothing to do with her, you don't want her help. You think she's gonna come and put that on you? No, be so fucking for real.
Be so for real.
But beyond that, I also just want to emphasize how useless Bach is in my book. I understand there's probably like a character arc there that's meaningful. He was so irrelevant. I couldn't care less. Hi. One second.
Hi.
Bach serves a purpose. I don't like him, but you can't like everything. No, and I hear you. Okay. Yes, Bach serves a purpose. You want to talk on what you think his purpose is? Because I really have just been slandering his name.
I think it's a representation of a lot of men in society.
Oh, so real.
That's fair.
So real. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a funny.
You know what? That's so true. That's so true. I also. Okay, I have a bunch of other notes, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold them for a second.
You can wrap it.
I do think it's also very interesting to me, specifically with Nessa, and why I think she's similar to Madame Marble is she's repeating the cycle of like the abuse. Like she sort of, and it's interesting to me too. And I'm not coming for Glinda, but I think it's interesting how she kind of Nessa very objectively forces Bach to like stay with her, like by literally stripping the rights of all of his people so that he would like have to stay at her house,
Which is
crazy.
crazy. insane behavior.
But the way that she sort of takes his decision from him from that, like, not dissimilar to Madame Marble and the Wizard and Glinda springing an engagement on Fiyero publicly.
That's crazy behavior.
Literally,
too.
I was like, an engagement without consent is nuts. It's wild to me, but it's just it's so interesting that what we you go.
No, keep going. I'll hold my thought.
I was just gonna say I think it's very interesting how we see like similar kinds of power corrupting, and there's really, when you think about it, all said and done, there's like 3 to 4 people who like need to be swayed in one direction or another to change like literally all of this society, and they all just continually choose horrible and bad things instead of doing anything like good or for the better. And I think it's very interesting how Glinda is not dissimilar from that cycle and those trends.
Yeah.
She's just a nicer version of it. But I do think it's very interesting how like that's something we see repeated over essentially every single person in a position of power other than Alfie and then eventually Glinda.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
So I'm curious now with you saying people taking the right of choice away, because I feel like, Nessa did that with Bach, and then the whole engagement on Fiyero. What's your stance on the Lion Cub incident?
That shit pissed me off too. I think it's so interesting how I was pleasantly surprised by the sort of changes. Like, I didn't know that the cub would become the Cowardly Lion, and then I kind of figured it out, obviously, when I saw his bitch ass. But like Bach becoming the Tin Man with no heart, I was like, you know what, tracks for me. But like, I thought that was really interesting in terms of, I think a big thing for me was perception. Like throughout this, the ways that perception gets tweaked or manipulated to kind of create a version, like an understanding of something. And I quoted this: "The truth is not a thing of fact or reason; it's just what everyone wants to believe." I think the lion's a really great example of, and I think it's fitting that it's the Cowardly Lion who has this, but I think that's a really great example of like believing the story instead of the facts. Because not only did that lion be like, she's fucking terrifying, her nasty green face was the first horror I ever saw, and she's just like, whoa, I literally saved you from a cage. And he's like, nah, you ugly bitch, fuck you. To be so hateful when she's literally singing about how like this is your home and like you deserve to stay here and fight. And he's like, nah, you ugly and you stole me. And she's like, I literally saved your life. And he's like, nah, fuck you, bitch, I'm scared. That was like, I was like, you need to relax, King.
Also, I also think it's important too, because you said it was like perception of like basically the truth being twisted. It was Fiyero that took him out of the cage. It wasn't Elphaba. But because probably
hers
all
was the face he saw when she woke him back up.
Probably all the propaganda.
But he was already free.
All the propaganda from all the posters and the lies that are being spewed around Oz probably twisted his version of what happened.
Yeah. Because he was a cub. I don't know lions like that, but I'm sure they have like half-formed memories and shit. So yeah, if you want to take a cowardly little lion and you put all this propaganda of this scary green witch, and you're like, oh, I think I knew that bitch. That's crazy. Yeah, you're gonna believe this version of like, oh, she stole me away in the night. Like,
bitch.
Even though the white man's the one who literally carried you to the thing.
Oh my god, okay, a white man! No!
Why would the white man be? But no, I think it's really interesting. Yeah, and I also think what pissed me off too was like Bach, even after literally starting to cast the spell that took his heart away, when Elphaba was like, let me save his ass, his ungrateful ass, Nessa still, out of this selfish desire, tried to twist it into, Elphaba did this to you, she did.
I tried to stop her. Like, bitch, you...
I think Nessa and Bach are only useful in that they're a very good example of the delusional entitlement that is very prominent in our society. Because
Heavy on the Delulu.
Bach, heavy on the Delulu. I don't know what world Bach was living in, other than one that's like unfortunately very oppressed. The way he genuinely believed he had a shot with Glinda was already hard to hop on the I believe you train in the first movie. The fact that the only time she showed any interest in him was to just immediately turn him away to Nessa, and then he sees that she's getting married, and he's like, "This is my shot.
This is my
I'm
shot
gonna go
to
to her."
see to get her back, to
'Cause the
reclaim
thing
her.
is, like, what did he think would happen? He would be like, "Hey, girl, I love you," and she'd be like,
I love you too, bitch.
"Let me just leave my whole life for you
Also,
with your fucking munchkin ass." What? And then Nessa out here like, man, I just love this man. I really think he's the one because I've kind of forced him to like stay with me forever, and then I literally forced him by stripping away the rights of him and his people. That's love.
and also
And then
like
he's
her
like, "Nah, I'm
people,
out."
because she's a munchkin too, is she not? Like,
I don't. Nessa is crazy for real. You're telling me you hate your sister until she can finally help you. So then she does. She helps you. She helps you fucking float. She makes your little slippers ruby. And then you immediately betray her again to this motherfucker who literally could not care less.
who literally just
Who
told
still
you that
leaves.
I didn't love you, that I'm leaving, and then this dumbass hoe s- goes into a storm screaming Bach's name. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
When I tell you, the moment that truly took me out of the movie was her fucking rolling down the little brick road in a whole cyclone, yelling for Bach. Where is he, bitch? Do you see a Tin Man in these fucked up streets? No. You see a cyclone coming for your ass, and you are just complete. Like, I don't.
I think it's.
I need to be. I need to have more empathy.
I think
I thought that was hilarious. I don't think they meant for it to, but that was so
no, it
funny
was
to
fun.
me.
That was funny. I think
Um,
it's important too to emphasize the fact that this movie does a really good job on being blinded by power and love, um, or the love you wish you could have. So like Nessa was very much blinded by
Yeah.
both, and I also think Glinda was also very blinded by the power and the love she desperately craved with Fiero. So I think that's
Let me
also
stop being a hater because that's a very coherent take.
no, be a hater because I was laughing too.
Well, no, you are right. I do think too, like circling back to sort of the taking away of choice. I think it's interesting how, specifically in the way that they are like telling this story, love. I mean, love is powerful, but when you're talking about power in the way that it sort of can be corrupted and twisted, I think love is only pure between like Elphaba and Fiero, and then Elphaba and Glinda. I think Glinda thought she loved Fiero in like a pure way, but I think it's more just he was the idea of him is what she loved.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only person she truly loved is Elphaba.
I
To be so dead ass.
I think,
Um,
like, speaking of love, I think it'd be a kind of a cool segue is that moment when Fiero is pointing the gun to Glinda to like save Alphaba when he was like, "No, don't hurt him. He just loved her." That like broke my heart too, because
That was I.
because it leads into the song "No Good Deed." But that moment, I think that acting from Ariana is the moment she realizes like, oh, like what they have is actually very something I'll never understand with Fiero. Like they are like in love that I will never get.
Absolutely.
But unpopular opinion, No Good Deed is my favorite song in all of Wicked. Like
I
Cynthia's
love
version
that.
and Indina's version from the original musical. It is my favorite
Mm.
song out of all the songs. Like it is my top number one.
That one was an instant banger for me. I understand why it would be. Yeah, I think that was a phenomenal song and the performance of it. And that's another place where like I think the movie doing things that the stage production couldn't.
That was
It
beautiful.
felt very grandiose in a way that I couldn't see translated quite in the same type of way on like the stage. I think that like
the last time I
you
saw
can show
of it,
Elphaba's power a lot more.
yeah,
in the
like
movie.
all of it is Alphaba is in the center of the stage, and she's just like kind of with the book,
Mhm.
and that's pretty much the entire scene. But
Yeah,
that,
here comes the hurricane.
yeah, here comes the hurricane. But in a way, save the man I love, turn him into a scarecrow kind of way. Um,
Mm.
but that scene, phenomenal. That is a phenomenal scene. Like editing wise,
That was
performance
stunning.
wise, her singing, that was beautiful. Like that, I like had me and Allison like looked at each other. Were like, did we just like witness that? Like that was insane. But then the hard cut to the
Yeah.
wizard really threw me off. I wish there was like, I wish we could have a moment to like really process what we just saw, and then we saw fucking his dumbass face.
I think it. I hear you. I think that's a larger critique I have with movies nowadays in general, where they don't let things breathe. Because it did have a cut to black. I just wish they would have let it like sit for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I want, because for me that was the single most powerful like sequence. I think For Good was powerful in a different kind of way. Emotionally, that one I think was one of the most powerful. But like in terms of just raw like this is gonna land, that was by far it. And like to have it cut to black felt the most correct way to like follow it up. I would have liked a couple more seconds to be like, oh shit.
Yeah,
And then
I guess
let
that's
his
the
little
beauty of
lizard face come in.
yeah, so true. I guess it's the beauty of seeing it live, because like in a theater setting, because in those moments it would like the audience would continue like to clap or whatever, so it
You
would
would
be
have
able to,
the
you would have that moment to like take in. But
the energy, yeah.
there are two scenes that I actually want to talk about like more like dissecting, and it's the cut from Glinda's wedding to Alphaba seeing the monkeys in the cage, seeing the animals in the cage. That was so like
the cross cutting between
the
that.
two parallels. Oh my god, that was so good. Okay, I'm glad
So this
I'm
note right
glad I brought
here,
it up.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
What a perfect transition.
I tried.
That was, I felt like did a great job of showing the ways that Glinda and Alphaba are sort of showing two different types of power. Like Glinda is very clearly the power struggle of trying to work within and walk within the system and try to change it for good. And Alphaba is so clearly the working beyond the system to show how broken it is and to stop it, and the harm from it. And I think for me, that sort of cross-cutting between Glinda walking towards this future that is fabricated, but is everything she thought she wanted it to be happy. And truly in that moment is probably one of the happiest in her life, because she did just get to connect with Glinda, and she's under the impression that she fixed everything and that she will be able to keep her and work with the wizard and have everything come true. Alongside Alphaba sort of being shown the horrors of like what is, and sort of the reality that even though the wizard made this deal to free the animals, he still had kept so many of them in cages.
His line,
literally like right there.
His line when he says, you know, some animals can't be trusted, I was just like, what?
That got me, along with when Dosibert, how does her name pronounce? Dosibert? The bear who takes care of Alphaba.
I don't know. I'm gonna be
He's
real.
lovely, and I apologize. I don't know some of these people's names. But when Alphaba's doing her song, sort of like "There's No Place Like Home" song to the animals, I made a note of the way she sort of responds with like, "We can't stay here," and she says, "It's become rotten." I think that sort of "it's become rotten" alongside the like, you can't, some animals cannot be trusted, and then what got me too was Alphaba looking at him and just being like, yes, I know that. I was like, oh, she's about to fuck this man up.
When that word, when she just said run, I was just like, chills. I was like, that is your Oscar right there, sweetheart, because that was incredible.
That for me, and that's the thing, like, as much as I'm talking about Ariana stealing the show, Cynthia's powerful. I couldn't buy into this world and the power of Elphaba if not for Cynthia Erivo.
I
The way
agree.
that she delivers so effectively that line, and even just the way she responds to him with the yes, I know that, being so clearly about him, and also like the audience should be immediately cued into like she's about to fuck this man up. She's about to do something
When
right
she
now.
puts the her broom to his
Broomstick
neck,
up to him.
when he was like, "Oh, how does it feel having your voice taken away?" I was just like, gagged. You gagged him, and you did great. Like 10 out of 10, great work.
You gagged him, and I said, "Get it, baby."
Yeah,
I'm so proud
do
of
it
you.
again. Like
That yeah,
claps.
I just think that like Elphaba is such a good character. And like Glinda by the end I think really sort of takes on that mission of being that kind of good. But like for me this whole movie was like, okay, so none of these people are being held accountable and maybe they'll have to pay for it, maybe not. But Elphaba is catching all of the strays
All
because
the
of these
strays.
people.
Well,
Her writing out "Our wizard lies," Morrible saying "Oz dies," everyone buys it. Nessa literally being the one to kill Bach, and Elphaba trying to save him even though she has no real connection to him. After also trying to give Nessa some joy. Mind you, Nessa's been a bitch to her the whole fucking time. And then finally she decides, now that it's convenient for her, she wants her help, just to feel good again. And then Elphaba gives it to her. And that's the first time she's like, finally I've done something good. Like, Elphaba has such a deep sense of not even loathing, but like loathing. Like she really fundamentally believes she is a monstrous being and that she harms everyone in her proximity, which also like no wonder why she'd leave. She doesn't want to hurt the people she cares about. But then finally does something for her sister that's received well and she's like, I can do good. This is amazing. And then Nessa immediately undercuts that with her own selfish stuff. Like I think Elphaba is such a fascinating character from that standpoint, but really the Elphaba Glinda power struggle and the way that like them walking into these sort of two futures and something clicking into place that's like you cannot undo those moments. Like Elphaba is, I think that's the moment when she 100% decides like there is not going to be any version where I go back, even if somehow the wizard and Morrible are taken down. Like I think that is the instance where she's like, I'm never going to be okay with any of the people who justified this. And then of course what happens with Fiyero becomes the like, fine, I'll be wicked, whatever. But like that for me is such a turning point for her of like, none of you can be trusted. You are all implicitly or explicitly to blame for this. Like you are all accountable. And also Glinda ending up having her own sort of like, we can't go back, and sort of then kind of giving them the idea to like harm Nessa. She thinks it's just like, oh yeah, I'll just tell them this. That's the other thing that gets me. Like I love Glinda dearly. She's so intentionally naive because you want to tell me you told the Weather Witch to go after Nessa, and then Nessa gets crushed by a house in a cyclone, and she's like, what? That's such a crazy
it's so
coincidence.
random because I think she has to. I think she has to like believe the lies or everything will come unraveling apart. Like she has to believe the lies they're being told to her or everything is like will be broken. And like she I don't think she can stand that. But speak that fight between them when it's such a sister moment. Like that's I feel like something like such two sisters should like how they should fight. Like when Ariana makes fun of Alphaba's laugh, it is the funniest fucking thing in the entire world.
Even the like punty way that Alphaba comes up and she's like, can you let me mourn my sister, please? Damn, she took her shoes. That's fucking like all these little like. It's so good. It's so good, and I think they play it so well. Of like, there's some genuine anger there, but there's still also that love. Where like Glinda does her little color guard wand trick, and then Alphaba's like.
And then when Glinda like rushes Alphaba, she's like, "Let's go, Greenie, come on!" And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I had me dying. And then after the guards come and take her up, she's like, "I almost had her."
I almost had her. But I generally think like you've said it a few times, like Ariana and Cynthia have such great chemistry with each other. I think their partnership in the movie, it's the only, I can't see anyone else doing it now, which is kind of crazy for me to say because I was so worried when Ariana got casted as Glinda. I'll say it. I was so worried because I wasn't the biggest fan of her, but she's completely changed my perspective. Like, she's incredible at it. But their partnership, I think, also makes For Good heartbreaking. And I'm wondering, did you know that the scene where Alphaba brings Glinda into the closet to say, like, everything's gonna be fine, I love you, and closes his door, that was not scripted. That was 100% like improvised on them. So
I love yous were improvised.
yeah, so the director didn't yell cut, right? He just kind of let them go. And Cynthia talks about it. It was just like she had it. She talks about it in the way that she has to get Glinda from point A to point B. Point B being the closet, right? So like she drags her, and naturally Ari asks, "What's going on? Like, where are we going?" And like she goes into the closet and says, naturally Glinda just said, Alphaba just says, everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be fine. That was just like the natural thing she said. And Cynthia talks about in the sense that like there are moments where love is shown between the two characters, but it's never said.
For sure.
So she believed it needed to be said, like the last thing. So that's why she says, "I love you," and then closes the door. And like they obviously cry, and I was crying, but yeah, 100% like.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, not scripted. 100% improvised.
I think there's such a beauty in adaptations, and I think I'm understanding why people get so attached to like their version of characters with this one, because I think I agree entirely. Like, no matter what comes next for the world of Wicked, to me, Glinda and Elphaba are going to be Cynthia and Ariana forever. Like Ariana and Cynthia are it for me. And I'm sure there's going to be many versions of that for so many people, and for some people it's always going to be Adina and Chris, whatever. They are perfection in this. And that to me too, so like just to before we circle back into that, that's another reason why the Girl in the Bubble song for me was so important. Like, I think part of why they're perfection for me is because while I have notes on many things and I don't know all of the sort of world here, the care that they both have for their characters and how that really informed every aspect of their performance, from what they advocated for behind the scenes or how they improvised and just how they played everything off of each other. Like, they really understood both of these people as individuals and in relation to one another, because for me, Glinda's sort of Girl in the Bubble song is her like sort of waking up, and like she's giving up on the lie and she's choosing to like follow the truth in the same way Elfie does, just like on her own terms. And I loved the set design on that. I mean, the whole song almost is her looking at her reflection in mirrors. So we sort of start with the song beginning with her looking at herself in a mirror, and then there's a mirror behind her, so it's just like this sort of like cacophony of her own reflection. And then there's another mirror and she's in the closet, but then it also ends with her like the reflection of herself in the bubble. And I think it's just such a perfect like way to embody the relationship Glinda has with perception and her own reflection, like her self obsession in some ways, and also how like her whole worldview is based in how you are perceived. And that's popular too. Like the Don't Make Me Laugh, they were popular. It didn't matter if they were like smart. It was about how they were beloved by people. Like, that's such a fundamental part of her. And then putting on like the shoes, like Elphaba shoes and the cape, and getting on the horse and like running to her after that moment, to me is just it's her like fully embracing like, yeah, I chose the fraudulent path, but I do still believe I can be good, and I think I can do it in the way I'm meant to, but I have to go see her first.
Yeah.
I just loved it. And yeah, knowing that door scene, like, to me is so Red String of Fate coded, and I think they did a great job of like really emphasizing the connection between Glinda and Elphaba, even though, like, Glinda doesn't know she's still alive because of the way that they ended. Like, having it, one, us seeing Elphaba and Fiyero kind of walking off into the sun, but also the way that they juxtapose and sort of like superimpose the images of Glinda opening and kind of reading the Grimoire alongside Elphaba, like kind of turning back and like singing to her. For me, that moment felt very much like their bond is bound in the magic, and like I'm sure there's many theories already spouting, but to me, like that moment was Glinda is like giving the magic, or no, Elphaba is kind of giving the magic to Glinda in that moment, and I also wonder if perhaps Glinda will be able to sense that Elphaba's still alive, or at least is alive to her through the magic.
Yeah.
Um,
there was moments in that end scene with For Good that really like I think tied the story together really nicely. It's when Elphaba says to Glinda, like, someone had to be wicked for you to be good. Like, I think says a lot about life in general. Like, no matter what, there's always going to be someone labeled the bad guy for someone to be, you know, the savior on top. They're always going to have to be, like, a good and an evil regardless. And then when Elphaba says, look at me, and then Glinda gets all, like, soft eyes and was like, not with your eyes but with theirs. It's just like, because Glinda sees Elphaba in the truest version of who Elphaba is, just this girl trying to like use this gift, this power for good. I generally think that, but everyone else sees it as this wicked, this horrible, this awful thing. And I think it generally breaks my heart for the fact that, like, Glinda will never know that her best friend is alive. Because you just, it can't happen. And I was trying to explain this to my grandfather, too, because he, like I said, my grandmother really loved Wizard of Oz. And she actually does not like Wicked in the sense that it undoes a lot of the things in Wizard of Oz, right? Like, but the way I see it is you have to look at them in two separate entities. You have the Wizard of Oz and then you have Wicked. They are the same story, but told different ways, right? Like, you get more of, like, the personal connections, I feel like the past of, like, the Wicked Witch of the West, the Wicked Witch of the East, Glinda the Good. But it does. If you really think about it, it does undo a lot of things from Wizard of Oz. But, like, I think you have to take it as two separate entities. You can't try to mesh them together in a timeline that makes sense, because I don't think it does.
I don't think it does, because also, like, Dorothy's such a little bitch. Like, Dorothy's so annoying in the Wicked universe, comparatively. I love when Glinda's like, oh, this girl again? Like,
it's so funny.
She stole Nessa's shoes and then just kind of fucks everything up.
It's so funny, the fact that, like, Dorothy is in the cellar listening to For Good happen above her. Like, she's having a mental breakdown about, like, she's gonna die. She thinks she's gonna die. And then she hears these two lesbians singing to each other.
Dorothy was minding her business. It's cycloned into this place. Is from Kansas, mind you. And then she gets stolen. She's like, this green lady is telling me to give her my shoes. I don't know what happened. And then she just hears them have, like, a deep love connect. Like, she probably couldn't even hear most of it because they were whispering. So she probably just hears, like, water pouring. Water pouring. And then they're singing. And then she's like, I'm gonna go get that water pail. And then she thinks she kills the witch. And she's like, I don't know who she was talking to. That bitch is crazy. And then dips out. Like, Dorothy I cannot see her as the hero after watching this. I'm like, this little...
Dorothy was forced to be a main character. Dorothy's 100% a side character, but she was forced to be a main character.
Especially in, like, the OG Wizard of Oz, like, it was all a dream, too. Like, Dorothy really was not trying to do too much and does the most. Yeah, no, I agree that you should see them as two separate things. I think Wicked from the books and the stage play and the movies can be discussed in sort of a larger conversation about adaptations. I think Wizard of Oz in relation to Wicked should be seen as like a paratext
Yeah.
almost, where it's like they're within this same world, but they're very different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what the Diary of Laura Palmer is to the world of
Ooh,
Twin Peaks.
yeah, I
They're
like
both
that.
really important things, but and like yes, the diary in some ways informs a lot of different things about Twin Peaks, but they're two separate things.
You can't
Like
try to force them together. It's not
one
gonna work.
and like and in that world it does work a little bit more, but like it's that kind of thing where like it's these two things are their own entities within this world, and there's of course a lot of
Mm-hmm.
shared, a lot of overlap, but they're two different stories. um yeah, I also was fascinated by, I would be curious, does the stage play have any backstory vibes of Morrible, or is she just like a villain?
No, she's just kind of there.
I I know I was just talking shit about Michelle Yeoh being cast, not because she's not a phenomenal actress, but I am curious about like,
Who she is.
I wonder if there was any intentionality of like not casting her as a black woman specifically. I mean, that does not change many of the other issues with like there were white people who also auditioned, but like I do think it's interesting how Nessa kind of becomes a singular dimensional villain, in my opinion. Like, she doesn't really get a lot. Like, though we can understand why she made certain choices, in my book, it does not in any way justify them.
No, she's a hoe.
Yeah. And the wizard kind of gets, like, a version of, like, realizing he basically killed his own daughter after causing so much of her own strife without intending, just because he's a fucking careless carny.
From Nebraska.
But really, like, the only truly villainous people are Morrible, and one could argue, like, Nessa and the wizard, but, like...
I personally think that Morrible is the villain, like, the top villain. I think she very much used the wizard as a puppet. She was definitely the mastermind behind, like, a lot of it. Like, she was the puppeteer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
but I would love to learn more about her because, like, one of the things.
I want to know what makes her tick.
Yeah, I also would love for more explanation on the magic system of the Oz universe because that kind of got a little. That gets kind of confusing. Like, are you born with it?
Yeah,
is it Maybelline?
That's also why I was confused.
Sorry.
Is it Maybelline? No, that was fantastic.
Thank
Never
you.
apologize. But that was one of the things, like, until the end when I was like, oh, the wizard's their dad. I was really confused because I was like, how the fuck is Nessa taking this man's heart with the grimoire? I thought the whole point of the grimoire being stolen in the end of the first one was that, like, damn, no one can read it. Not even the wizard, not even Morrible. And then everyone's fucking reading it left and right. I was like, well, damn, what did Nessa do? How is she magical? She's not magical at all. Is it because a spell was just cast on her, and now it's, I don't know, in her or whatever? But like, I was trying to make it make sense because I was like, you know what though, is she's not a bastard child, unless the wizard was fucking the wife so many times. I thought that was like the daughter of the mayor, so I was like, wait a minute, is the magic just in the mom because she had alphabet?
Maybe
like,
she was
like
more powerful than we thought.
I don't know. And then at the end, it felt very much like Glinda sort of got her magic in part because of the love she had in the like relationship to Alphaba. Like, that's how I interpreted it. So yeah, I think I would like a little more anything on the magic elements, and specifically, I think I would really love to know, like, what's Morrible's story? Like,
How's she
how
get
did
her
she
magic? Is she a daughter of two
yeah.
worlds? Like, do you have to be a daughter or a son of two worlds to be magical? Like, that doesn't.
Yeah, I'm really interested
Also,
about her as much as I don't like her.
The fact that it was like, I think we should also talk about like the structure of like maybe the barrier around Oz, because people be going back and forth between our world and Oz willy nilly.
Is there a barrier? Because
Where is
the
Oz?
way I understood
Is it like in Canada?
he just sort of whipped, like Marble said, "Here comes the hurricane, bitch," and then took a whole human house and just dropped.
But how did
it
the
into
wizard get
Munchkin
there?
Land. Who is the wizard?
He's from Nebraska.
I don't know.
Nebraska.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm saying. That's when
I
they were
just-
saying the child of both worlds. He's from where Dorothy is. He's from the States.
Of course, it started with an American.
That's why it makes sense in my brain why the mother cheated on. It was the first man she actually saw.
He said, "Nah, he's tall."
I mean,
He said, "Do my eyes deceive me?
that
Is
man
a
has height.
full height man?" Like, yeah, that's the other. I think, and I don't think the story's necessarily concerned with morality. That's another
No.
thing. I think it's concerned with like some of these power dynamics and like sort of playing with this idea of truth and perception and how that can give you power and stuff. But I don't necessarily think morality is what it's super concerned by, because if it was, we would, I think, have a little more time spent on some of these other characters, like motivations, beyond just like, well, we need someone to blame and not all animals can be like those types of things. I do think it's interesting how those pieces come together, because yeah, like I understand that the magic kind of isn't necessary. It's like the point, but it's not. But I do have like several questions.
I have a
because
lot of
also,
questions.
why is Morrible a weather witch? Like, why does she have a specific
Yeah,
power?
why is she the Avatar?
And then no one else has anything. Yeah. That was what I was gonna say. Okay, that was my other thing that I wanted to talk about. I had a lot of I don't know if it's the arcane brain rot or what, but I had a lot of like moments where I kind of had resonances between this sort of ending and the ending between specifically Vi and Jinx, because it felt in many ways like the Elphaba needing to leave because she couldn't stay. Like that was sort of a breaking the cycle in some ways. It felt a little bit like that to me for obviously like Vi, we are of the belief that like she's gonna know, like Kate found it out and she's gonna share it. But it is very interesting to me of like Elfie sort of saying like, I wish she could know, but she can't. I think it's very similar to like how Jinx was feeling of like, I wish I could keep her, but I can't. Like I have to go away for her to be happy, for me to break the cycle. Like this sort of notion of needing to leave, sort of remove yourself to be able to like keep some kind of balance or like actually fix the problem, or in the case of like Elphaba, like they need someone to be wicked for you to be good.
I
think it was resonances I was intrigued by.
I think with the ending of Wicked and Arcane, it's almost like they're allowing the characters like Elphaba and Jinx to take their own agency in a way for them to end their story on their own terms, and not how society is forcing a narrative and an ending on them. So it was Elphaba's choice to leave Oz and fake her own death. It wasn't like they didn't kill her. Like the mob, the witch hunters didn't come and get her. It was her actively like taking those steps in her own story, and it was the same way with the Jinx. It was her choice and her agency to leave, and she didn't like this. Her ending didn't get written for her. She wrote it herself.
Yeah, and I think with Elphaba too, like it was. I do think it's interesting to sort of circle back to this idea of choice, where like that was Elphaba was choosing to sort of like Glinda will be the good one, and I will let them believe this story that they are telling themselves. Like I'll let them think they killed me. I'll let them call me wicked. I'll promise her to not change that ending so that she can do what we've always dreamed of, you know? I think they did a great job of kind of in the same actions that give Elphaba like agency over the end of her story also gives like Glinda this she's becomes this beautifully tragic character, but like we believe her. Like when she says, I want to help you, like I want to do good, like it
Yeah.
becomes something more than
Well,
like this idea she's trying to pretend to be. It's becoming like the truth.
yeah, so I appreciate the line she says to Morrible before like she gets whisked away by the monkeys. Morrible says to her is like, I see that you're good, and Glinda goes, I'm not yet. Like I still have work to do. Like there's
Mhm.
still things that I need to do and atone for, and changes that
Yeah.
I need to make. I'm almost there, but I'm not there yet. And I appreciate them saying that, because
Yeah.
if she just said yes, I'm good, it would have been the same pattern throughout the movie, and there would be no growth. Like, because she believes from the very
Yeah.
beginning she is doing good, but it's that moment
I
where
mean,
she
yeah.
realizes, oh, I haven't been good, but now I can be.
Yeah, I think the no good deed goes unpunished and like them sort of having that cross cutting between her walking down the aisle and Elphaba kind of walking into this horrible truth. Those are really interesting like within the world building. It's sort of like things are shifting into place where like changeable evolution is occurring. Like there's no going back for either of them. No good deed goes unpunished. And like thinking about the Glinda at the beginning of the movie, who like is still trying to fight to like get Elphaba to return and like trying to accept her choice, but also happily going along with the ruse. Like she's talking about trademarking the word good. And then by the end, she's like, no, I'm actually not there yet.
Yeah.
Because like the actual change has happened, you know? Um, I think that makes her story really interesting too. Like understanding now she has this thing to atone for, but also like that's part of the necessity of her thinking Elf is dead. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think part of what makes Glinda genuinely willing to change and like recognize she wasn't doing good is the idea that she's carrying good for her and for Elphaba.
I
Like
also think it's her.
it becomes this thing that's shared between them in this way, even though she's this living component of it.
I also think it's like the death of Glinda, Alphaba, and Fiero. Like, because she believes Fiero's dead too. So like she's
Yeah,
lost two people that fundamentally like are so important to her. Like I do believe Alfie is more of like a character that changed her, but Fiera was by her side for all of that.
absolutely.
So it's the death of both of them that really is
Yeah,
just like, oh, I I'm alone now basically.
yeah, yeah. And I think that like within her own ways, Glinda really does love Fiero. It's just
Mhm.
the love that she has for Elphaba, I think, was the truest
Oh, I
and
agree.
like the kind that like transcends. Whereas with Fiero, I think that moment when she realizes he loves her is her own act of love for him, of realizing like she almost is like I think that's also this reason why he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's so important for him to impart those as his final words to her and for her to have those kind of be her final words to him because
So
that,
sad.
in so many ways, is the truest act of love between them.
Mhm.
Like, that's Glinda being like, I finally see you and like honor your choice.
Yeah.
And him being like, I am so sorry that like I
Broke your heart
don't
basically.
choose you
Yeah.
and broke your heart. You know, like it's this moment where I do think he is like I think that's why the throuple of it all is so fascinating to me too, because like truly those three are so essential to each other's stories, and Fierro is kind of like in some ways he's a hinge between them, even though also in many ways he's like on like they're like Elphaba is a hinge between Glinda and Fierro, but also Fierro is a hinge between Glinda. Like there's just it's like the
They should
Spider-Man
all
meme where
just
like they're all pointing to
kiss.
fuck.
Well, I was trying to keep it PG, but yeah,
But
they
yeah,
should all just fuck, actually. Just get it over with. Like, at this point, half of the movie could have been saved and resolved if y'all just fucked.
that was one of my other notes. I was like, the amount of this that is due to
Communication.
miscommunications is insane to me. If if Glinda and Elphaba just sat in a room and like shut the doors for 15 minutes, I really think like 90% of this movie would not have needed to happen, because quite literally they could have just like had a brainstorming session and called it a day. You know, like it really was that simple.
It's
in some
so
ways.
true. My final point of Wicked, unless you have more things to add, but I want to bring up one more thing, and then I want to ask you a question, and maybe that we can call it an episode there. But one of the beautiful scenes I felt like in No Good Deed, when she's like going back reliving all the moments when she's at Shiz, when it says it's that all good deeds are when looked at an ice cold eye, and she looks and sees the I forgot how to say her name. Yeah, I had a stroke. Watching her. I think that was a beautiful like camera work, because it's true. Like, if she didn't get picked by her, all of this wouldn't have happened. But it's because of her ice cold eye, all of this got fucked basically.
Yeah, I think it's also very interesting the ways that so many things came full circle. Like Elphaba's magic is she's almost like able to walk through time in that way, but yeah, her realizing like, did I just do this for attention? Did I like, but then these were the eyes that were on me, and that sort of kickstarted so much of this. It just is really fascinating. I want to like watch it again, but specifically like those scenes. Like I want to watch that again. I want to watch everything with Glinda and Elphaba together.
I've seen it 3 times. 1 correctly, 2 illegally.
Listen, at the end of the day,
I supported them.
That.
I supported them the first watch
I'll
through.
listen to the music again. Yeah, like I listen. Yeah, no, I do think that's very interesting. I think I made a note of the director of photography. I just might have like put my notes away, and there was like, oh shit, I gotta write that down, and then I don't remember if I got the last name right. But I think the DP was Alice Brooks, and I was like, a woman. But yeah, really
so
beautiful flowing camera work. I think that the way that they shot it was really, really great. It yielded a lot visually to like the kinds of like grandiose storytelling that they were doing. I think it was just really, really well done. Like from a standpoint of production design, costume design,
the costume designing
was really well made.
There are a bunch of interviews with the costume designer, and he explains how he decided each piece and how he wanted the costumes they were wearing to kind of like signify different moments where they're at in their life. So like, you know, Elphaba in the beginning has this very innocent like school girl look, and then towards the end she's more like sophisticated. So like she's grown up more. She's like seen the world for what it is more. But I just love listening to people be so passionate about their craft, and I think that's why this movie was so successful, because each character, each person behind the scenes, each actor has such love for the story that I think it translated very well onto the screen. You could tell they had a deep love for the piece that they were working on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the things it is often palpable, and you might not be able to put your finger on it, but you feel it in the energy and the synergy that kind of goes into the creation of any type of piece of media. Yeah, no, I think it's one of the things that made this such a successful work overall.
Yeah.
Because it was so evident that like there was so much care on every level that there could be. And I think it's a really good reminder that like these types of big tentpole films are huge productions. Like there's thousands of people who put their time and energy into this. And when they all give a shit, it does show. It really does show. And I think, you know, bravo to the cast, the crew, everybody who touched this work. They did great.
So before we wrap this little Wicked episode up, I have a question for you. So Wicked is an adaptation of a musical that was on Broadway or off Broadway, a stage production. My question is, would you rather have a movie like Wicked where it kind of takes this a stage show and puts it onto the big screen, but with different, creating its own story, I would say. Or would you rather have something similar to what Hamilton did on Disney Plus, where they recorded a stage production and put it in a way for audience to view over and over again?
Mm. It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there's some things where I'll have different answers, but for
Yeah.
me, I think actually adapting it um, makes it. I think the beauty of movies is like they last forever. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's intentionally creating something that is designed to be this vehicle, whereas stage to me the beauty of it is inherently the fact that it's ephemeral. Like it is by its nature supposed to be something that lives kind of in some ways like lives and dies with the people who
It's like
worked on it in
finite.
that moment in that space and time. It's finite, yeah. And I think that like what Hamilton did was so important for accessibility, and I think that for Hamilton, like I don't think I think it worked really well for that world because it was specifically the music and the way that they did the stage production that like that was the heart and soul of the story. But I also think you lose a lot when you're not in the room, watch in the room where it happened. You know what I mean? Like, hey, um,
Because
I do think, yeah, yeah. I think if you're gonna make it into a movie, make it into a movie. If you're gonna keep it as a stage production, like I think there's to truly like value the integrity of it, it should stay on the stage.
I think there's magic and merit in both. I think, um,
Mm.
and I also think it kind of
Yeah,
depends on the story too. Um, there's been a
I
few.
yeah I
There's
agree.
been a few movies where they've adapted a musical, and In the Heights was one of them, and it's by the same director. So they took Lynn's
Hmm.
musical and put it onto the screen in an adaptation. But I
Hmm.
think we've said it a few times. It's nothing's gonna beat you sitting in a theater watching these performers perform right in front of you. That's a magic that can't be like replicated. And I think you're
Hmm.
right. I think it's for those moments it should be in a theater on stage while you're there in the audience.
Yeah.
But like we've said, it's hard. It's hard to like people to
Hmm.
go see those. It's hard because of the cost, or maybe like you don't live near a theater that will show these shows that you're interested in and want to see. So I think it's important to also like archive those moments, like archive those shows
Yeah.
on a stage so audience can see them. Like the original cast, like that was the original cast of
Yeah.
Hamilton that people will never see again. Like sometimes actors and actresses will go back and relive the character, but those core group of people you'll probably never see again. But I do think,
Yeah.
I also think
Yeah.
it's beautiful, like how we've said with Wicked, um, adding your own addition to the story, and how directors and
Mm.
actors can add more to it, and you can't get that from obviously being on stage because you have to stick to a
Yeah.
script.
I think you hit the nail like right on the head when you were talking about how like it really does depend on the story because I agree like archival there's such an important part of that. Like for me, I don't think Hamilton. I don't have a care to see Hamilton as a movie adaptation. I think that
I
was
don't
the
think it
exact way
should.
to sort of capture that story in its essence. I watched In the Heights, the movie version. I fucking loved it, and I think there were set pieces there that you couldn't have done on the stage. Like
Mm-hmm.
96,000 being done at this public pool with all of these different
That was a cool
people having
scene.
it be
That is a
such a
that is a
kinetic
great
scene.
scene.
Like I think when you're adapting into a movie, you have different tools at your disposal that can yield like really beautiful musical results. But at the same time, it really depends on I think the story and the heart of what you're trying to do. Like you can add something incredible and make it sort of this huge spectacle, but something like Hamilton, I don't think we need a huge spectacle. I think we just need those moments to breathe as they were on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Wicked, I think I would love to see an archival version of like the stage version, but
Me too.
making it into a movie added so much that like you just can't show flying animals throughout a theater with the same kind of believability and the same kind of like overarching narrative impacts when you're trying to like have a monkey flying around in a theater versus on a screen where you can pretend to have this massive world where like they're going far beyond you could ever dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah. Okay. I think that is the mayhem of Wicked.
That is the
Thank you
mayhem
for
of Wicked.
coming.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you're still listening.
Yeah. We yet again ran long, so
yeah. Stay
You stuck
tuned.
around.
Yeah, these will
Good for
probably.
you.
Fun fact, wanted this to be an hour. That's not gonna happen.
One day.
One day more. Also, another great
Oh my God,
movie.
yeah. Okay.